Turn up the AC hot takes. You know what it is, it's your boy Featherweight Jr. Vargas Dynasty going up. Don't act like you don't know. We're the only three brothers that really running shit in the boxing game.
Welcome to another installment of Turn Up the AC Hot Takes with Reason on a solo edition. Now, today we're talking about the new 126-pound WBA featherweight champion, and that is Brandon Figueroa. He dethroned undefeated Nick Ball in 12th round knockout in what I thought was a great fight from start to finish from both men. Let's talk about it. Now, Nick Ball was the champion. There was a lot of voices, a lot of people talking in the background that potentially, if Nick Ball could come out unscathed, you know what I'm saying, over the next couple of fights, that he could potentially be a future matchup for Inoue. To get there, he got to get through Figueroa. And before we get into like what happened, Brandon Figueroa, like, he had the 7-inch reach advantage on Nick Ball because Ball is a little shorter and Brandon's kind of tall for that division. Southpaw orthodox matchup, the southpaw being Brandon Figueroa. And if we're talking like skill wise, like there's really nothing like out of the ordinary for Brandon Figueroa. To me, his biggest attribute is his motor. He just keeps coming at you. Like he's not gonna stop. Whether even if you're winning the fight, he stays to his game plan. He sticks to what he does well. And that's what happened in this fight. So let's talk about it, man. Early on, I noticed a couple of things in the fight. Maybe y'all probably noticed it before that or knew this already, but this is the first time I watched Nick Ball fight live other than like highlights and things like that. And off top, I noticed hand speed and the combinations were definitely on the side of Nick Ball early. And early in the first 2/3 of the fight, through round 8, I actually had Nick Ball winning. It was either a 6-2 or a 5-3 scorecard in favor of Nick Ball going in between the 8th and 9th round. Now, before we get to that point, we're gonna jump back to round 1. And I thought, Ball was doing great work early. He had a strong uppercut from the jump. And when they were clinching, when they were, trying to maneuver and try to get position when they're in the clinch, Ball was throwing punches, roughing things up in tight, which I thought he had to do to win. And he was landing a few uppercuts in when they were in close range too. And it looked like he was definitely in control. I thought a lot of the rounds were very, very competitive, but I was edging a lot of the rounds to Nick Ball because of the efficiency of what he was doing. And he was landing just as, he had around the same amount of punches as Figueroa and a lot less, punches thrown. So I thought the efficiency and the shots that were being landed was what I was edging Nick Ball, throughout the fight with the rounds that I was giving him. Let's see. Figueroa had a very strong round 3. I thought it was 2-0 Nick Ball after the first 2 rounds. And I gave Figueroa round 3. The rounds were really tight from 4 through 7, 4 through 8. And like I said, I was edging Nick Ball in the majority of them. So at the closest I could have had it after 8 rounds was 5-3 in favor of Nick Ball, or 6-2. And I'm saying these for a reason, because there was a turning point in this fight, but I'm not there yet. There was a sequence in round 4. I'm looking at the notes that I took while I was watching the fight. A couple things I wanted to make sure I said. During round 4, that was a great round. Both guys were busy. That could have been a round that went to Figueroa. It was very close. But there was a sequence where Figueroa was a way busier fighter. But in round 4, there was like a sequence where Ball threw a jab, and then he threw a straight right hand to the body, a left lead hook to the head, and then a right hand to the head. And it was a beautiful combination. And I thought those types of combos are the reason why I had Nick Ball ahead on the scorecards at this point. Round 5, another solid round. The uppercut was still working great for Ball, and that strong left hook, man, that lead left hook was very strong for Ball. And one thing though, like I said, one of the strengths of Figueroa is he ain't going nowhere. And he's never been stopped. So, like, you got to deal with him for 12 rounds, no matter what you're doing, because he's not going nowhere. Like I said, that's, to me, his biggest attribute is the motor he has. And you can't really discourage him. I don't know. Even when he got the one-sided loss to Fulton some time back, like a year or so ago, like, yeah, he was losing the fight, but he keeps coming at you. Like, he's going nowhere. And that, to me, that sticking to his game plan is the reason why ultimately the fight changed. So round 7, 6 and 7 actually was really, really good work from Figueroa. But I was still, like I said, had Nick Ball in the lead because it was the quality of the shots that I was leaning towards more than just the quantity of punches being thrown. There was like I said, the lead hook was going all night, and he's throwing like 1-2s and then 1-2-3s with the lead left hook. You know what I'm saying? And then going into the corners before round 9, I even wrote it in my notes right here that during round round 9, right before round 9 in the corner, I wrote it down. Let me read what I wrote. Figueroa's corner gave some good instruction. There's a sense of urgency in them telling him that these are the championship rounds. Because they told Figueroa, these are the championship rounds going into round 9. And he came out with that sense of urgency, I thought. And I also put, if he wins, that's the turning point. After that minute in between rounds 8 and 9, going into round 9, I gave round 9 to Figueroa, round 10 to Figueroa, and round 12, obviously, he stopped him. Now, the 11th was a pretty close round. It could have went either way. But for me personally, I was leaning towards Fig. So I could have seen it in round 12, 6-5 either way. Or I wouldn't have even been mad if you had Figueroa up 6-5. Was a pretty fair score, I thought, going into round 12. If you had a 7-4 Figueroa, I could see that too, because Figueroa, to me, won 9, 10, 11, and 12. So the reason why I wanted to mention that minute in the corner before round 9 is go back to what we were talking about with Shakur and Tio last week, right? So last week with you look at the corners. In Shakur's corner, calm, specific instruction. They had their game plan and they stuck to it. You look at Tio's corner, no instruction, emotional, didn't really give him nothing to do, and it showed in the ring. So coming back to tonight's fight with Nick Ball and Figueroa, in Nick Ball's corner, it was, I didn't see nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that maybe I could have seen more of a sense of urgency from them. But one thing that I thought really, really, like I said, changed the fight was the sense of urgency, the telling Figueroa, these are the championship rounds. Like, getting his mind right, making sure he knew what was at stake at that point in the fight. Because after round 8, like I said, he was losing on my card 5-3 or 6-2. But the last 4 rounds, I thought, like I said, going towards Figueroa, At least the ones that completed 1911. Going into round 12, it was either 6-5 either way. And I thought whoever wins round 12 was going to win the fight. And in round 12, well, during round 11, I thought Figueroa's combinations are getting better. But Ball was still landing some pretty strong shots, but they were more the one and done. There weren't so much the combinations like he was doing throughout the fight. And I think there's a reason for that. The reason being, goes back to what I was saying about Figueroa's strongest attribute was his motor, and he don't stop. He stuck to the body shots throughout the night against Nick Ball. He landed a lot of body shots, way more than Nick Ball did throughout the fight. And he stuck to that from round 1 through round 12. And I thought that's the reason why the tide changed, along with the corner instruction going into round 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's why I thought also in round 12, 11, late in the fight, Nick Ball's combinations went from often to now he's just throwing one strong shot here, another power shot there. So all that being said, I want to salute the game plan of Brandon Figueroa. He attacked the body of Nick Ball and he slowed him down. It was a slow breakdown. And round 12, he landed the shot to end it, dropping Nick Ball. I thought it was over the first knockdown, but Nick Ball showed some heart, got up, but it was over after that. He was hurt. He was done. And shout out to Brandon Figueroa, because that was a hell of a fight, hell of a game plan. He stuck to his game plan, and he wore down Ball from round 1 to round 12 and got the stoppage in round 12. Great performance. And the new WBA featherweight champ, Brandon Figueroa. Salute to him. Salute to Nick Ball. I can't wait to see what's up for you next. Nothing to be ashamed about. Great fight from both men. Figueroa just got it that night. You know what I'm saying? Tonight. So what's next for Figueroa? Sky's the limit for that brother. But obviously, a lot of people are going to want to see Figueroa versus Shushu. That's going to be crazy if it goes down. Obviously, majority of people are going to favor Shushu, and I get it. You should. He looked incredible last weekend. But we'll talk about that in the future, potentially what's next for Figueroa. I just wanted to cover this fight today and give him his props because he absolutely deserved it. And he is the new 126-pound WBA champ. Salute to you, Brandon Figueroa. Until next time, this has been Reason. Turn up the AC Hot Takes. Let me know what you thought about the fight. Did you have it super close going into round 12? Who was winning on your cards? What did you think of the finish? And what should Figueroa do next? Until next time, Reason. Turn up the AC Hot Takes. We're out.